We know the loss and disruption caused by COVID-19. We know how to make vaccines to tackle it, but we still know very little about how it started. That caused frustration last year.
It would seem entirely reasonable and sensible that the world would want to have an independent assessment of how this all occurred so we can learn the lessons and prevent it from happening again.
Now, after a visit to China, a team from the UN's World Health Organization has released its latest conclusions, and there's dissatisfaction.
I don't trust this report. I think it's the best report the World Health Organization could produce.
The US goes further.
We've expressed our concerns regarding the need for full transparency and access from China and the WHO to all information regarding the earliest days of the pandemic.
The search for COVID-19's origin story goes on. And after more than a year, why don't we know more about what happened in Wuhan? Well, one reason is the science is hard. This article in Nature in November asks, where did COVID come from? And quotes a virologist who says, finding an animal with COVID-19 infection is like looking for a needle in the world's largest haystack. They may never find a smoking bat. The task of establishing the most likely explanation, that the virus moved from an animal to humans, can't be done overnight. And the WHO has other theories to consider too.
There is a possibility that, for example, frozen wild animals who have been contaminated on a farm somewhere else could have introduced the virus in the market in a frozen stage. And so it's worth exploring. We'll see. We don't know. We'll see.
But if that's the scientific challenge facing the WHO, then there's its relationship with China. Back in January last year, there was a smiling photo op and praise too.
I will praise China again and again because its actions actually helped in reducing the spread of coronavirus to other countries.
2 weeks earlier, the WHO had sent its infamous tweet that China had found no clear evidence of human-to-human transmission. And after conversations linked to the media, we know that some at the WHO did have doubts about China.
General, there's been no evidence of human transmission is not good enough. This would not happen in Congo and did not happen in Congo and other places. We need to see the data. We need to be able to determine for ourselves the geographic distribution, the timeline, the epicurve and all of that. It's absolutely important at this point.
We need to see the data, says Dr. Michael Ryan. But China hasn't always offered that kind of access, and the WHO's reaction to that has been criticised. This headline in Indian media references Japan's Deputy Prime Minister, calling it the Chinese Health Organization, and accusing the WHO of giving in to China's spin. Donald Trump went even further than that.
They're a puppet of China. They're China-centric, to put it nicer, but they're a puppet of China.
Now, China is a major donor, but there's no evidence that the WHO deliberately misrepresented the situation, and Dr. Tedros has been clear.
We don't say anything to appease anyone. It's because it's the truth.
You don't, though, have to look hard to find scientists who think the WHO tried a gentle approach to elicit cooperation from China, and its statements have caused concern. One global health professor says it's definitely damaged WHO's credibility. It's led to so many questions about the relationship between China and the WHO. It is perhaps a cautionary tale. Perhaps it is, but perhaps however the WHO had played this, the outcome would have been the same. Just look how China has tried to stop its own citizens talking about the virus. Do you remember Li Wenliang? He was one of the first doctors in Wuhan to raise the alarm. He received this letter in return. It said, "We solemnly warn you, if you keep being stubborn with such impertinence and continue this illegal activity, you will be brought to justice. Is that understood?" He subsequently caught COVID-19 and shared this picture from hospital. Days later, he died. Then there's the targeting of the journalist Zhang Zhan. This was an altercation with police, and Zhang Zhan has talked about documenting the virus.
Maybe I have a rebellious soul. Why couldn't I film that? I'm just documenting the truth. Why can't I show the truth?
For this, she's been sentenced to 4 years in jail. Her lawyers say she's been on hunger strike since June and has been force-fed through a tube. There's also this footage from a Wuhan hospital showing bodies waiting to be collected.
3 bodies have been lying here the whole morning. Some people are already dead. Until now, nobody's come to take care of them.
The authorities took that clip down. Now, let's be clear, China has consistently defended its actions. This is one of many examples.
China, as always, maintains an open and transparent attitude and keeps close contacts and cooperation with the WHO in the virus origin tracing.
But we know that the desire to control what's reported existed at the start, and it existed during the recent WHO visit. And if that's China's approach and the WHO's approach, there's still one other factor, and that's China's changing place in the world. Bear in mind that in 2019, China's GDP was around 16% of the global economy, and it's growing fast. By the end of the decade, its share will have passed the US. And that economic power makes China very hard to pressure, which is why the search for what happened in Wuhan is a study in global power. Think about what's happened since the end of the Second World War. America has acted with the freedom that comes with being a superpower. China is starting to do the same.